Hello, and welcome. This country has the longest continuous history of a nation in the world. For more than 7000 BC it was distinguished by the presence of the Nile River, which divides its land, which was considered a catalyst for the establishment of an ancient civilization in it. It is also located in a privileged geographical location that connects the continents of Asia and Africa and is linked to Europe via the Mediterranean Sea. All this led to the rise of a civilization known as the oldest civilization in human history, the Pharaonic civilization in Egypt. Egypt was one of the most successful civilizations in history and one of the most advanced civilizations in the world. The Pharaonic civilization of Egypt was one of the civilizations that astonished the world with its historical monuments, which made the world stand in awe of its interpretation of the secret of the greatness of the Pharaonic civilization. But we always hear that approaching or entering the tombs of kings and pharaohs may lead to a curse. Is there really a so-called curse of the pharaoh?
The ancient pharaonic civilization was the most prominent and important civilization in the Mediterranean world for nearly 3,000 years. This civilization began since the era of the Great Pyramids, then came the era of the Old State, and then the period of military conquests in the modern state. The ancient kingdom of Egypt lived between 2686 and 2181 BC, and this period was known as the era of the pyramids, and the reason for its name is due to the construction of the Great Pyramids of Giza that still exist today, such as the construction of the Great Sphinx, which is believed to represent the pharaoh Khaf, as he largely possesses the body of a lion and the head of a human being. As for the dynasties that ruled in the era of the Old Kingdom, they are from the 3rd dynasty until the end of the 6th dynasty. The Middle Kingdom of ancient Egypt extended to include the rule of the 11th and 12th dynasties, and one of its most prominent kings was Pharaoh Menhotep II, who was one of his most prominent works to reunify Egypt under his rule. This period of rule was known as the famous Pharaoh Amenemhet III, who built giant water basins in Fayum and the Pyramid of Hawara, but with the end of the Middle Kingdom Egypt was attacked by the Hyksos, who used horse-drawn chariots. The New Kingdom of Egypt extended in the period between 1570 and 1544 BC, and this period was characterized by a period of great political and economic prosperity, and the pharaohs conquered many regions and vast areas. Ramses II was one of the most prominent kings of this period. The curse of the pharaohs refers to the belief that anyone who disturbs an ancient Egyptian mummy, especially if it is a pharaoh, is subjected to a curse. This curse, which does not differentiate between thieves and well-meaning archaeologists, causes misfortune, illness or death. The legend of the curse of the pharaohs began at the opening of the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922 AD, and the first thing that caught their attention was inscriptions saying, "Death will strike with my poisonous wings whoever disturbs the peace of the king." Many people working in the search for the tomb died, which puzzled scientists and people, and made many believe in the so-called curse of the pharaohs.
The legend of the curse of the pharaohs emerged about 89 years ago, when Lord Carnarvon, the financial supporter of the archaeological excavation team, died of a mosquito bite that infected him, on April 5, 1923, after the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb. As a result of his death a few months after the discovery of the tomb, a link was made between death and a pharaonic text inside the tomb stating that death will strike with its poisonous wings whoever disturbs the peace of the king. The deciphering of hieroglyphs by Jean-François Champollion made this text possible to read, giving the legend an incentive to use it since that date to explain any tragic events that occurred past and present. But the Egyptians recently expanded the scope of the legend's employment, to link between the tragic events that Egypt witnessed recently, and the decision to transfer the pharaonic mummies from the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir to the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in a procession that was organized on April 3, 2021. In conjunction with the announcement of the transfer decision, Egypt witnessed several tragic accidents, including the delinquency of the giant cargo ship, Evajvan, in the Suez Canal, and the collision of 2 trains in Sohag, south of Cairo. A property also fell on the Suez Bridge in Cairo Governorate East, a fire in a tunnel in the city of Zagazig, northeast of Cairo, and the collapse of a concrete column scaffolding from a bridge under construction in the Mariachea area in Cairo Giza. In addition to the above, a fire inside a house in Sarmalaut, Minya Governorate, south of Cairo, a fire in a tower in the Mahdi district of Cairo's governor, which helped reinforce the theory of the curse of the pharaohs. We are glad to have Mr. Ali from Egypt join us to tell us about this riddle. Mr. Ali, as an archaeologist, can you tell us if the curse of the pharaohs really exists, or is it just a myth? Did the ancient Egyptians find a way to make their pharaohs death traps? Otherwise, how do you explain the death of 26 people in mysterious ways? They are all those who were directly or indirectly associated with the storming of the tomb of Tutankhamun. How do you explain what he called the curse of the pharaohs? Then what is the meaning of the phrase that was found engraved on a pottery tablet in the tomb of Tutankhamun that says, "He slays death with his wings"? Who wasted the piece of the tomb of the pharaohs?
Thank you. I am glad to join you. Many stories and legends have spread about the mummy's curse, some of which go back to ancient dates that you may not think of. Even before the opening of King Tutankhamun's tomb, stories about the mummy's curse appeared. The most famous of which is that a group of 26 people participated in the opening of King Tutankhamun's tomb. The death of Amun began to kidnap them one by one in mysterious circumstances. Among them was the same expedition leader who had been poisoned by blood. After the medical examination on the shrine, it was found that there are germs. But none of them are very dangerous and certainly unable to eliminate the person just because he was in the same place for a short period. But the evidence of the existence of the curse does not negate that the ancient Egyptians did not do the best in this regard. Many graves were surrounded by symbols cursing those who disturbed the peace of those lying in the graves, and called the intruder to be attacked by wild animals such as lions and snakes, or to be subjected to the wrath and torment of the graves and the gods. There are many archaeologists who spent most of their lives in the tombs of the pharaohs and were not affected by any curse. Most notably the Egyptian archaeologist Gamal Mahrez.
I read that the slate on which the warning was given had disappeared from the tomb. Please tell us about this. Also, was this tomb, the tomb of King Tutankhamun, looted or stolen before it was discovered?
Carter's concern was not due to his fear of what came from the tablet, and researchers did not take it seriously, but the real concern was that news of this curse might reach Egyptian workers who believed in the curse of the pharaohs, and as a result, whoever left work in the grave. So Carter made sure to hide everything related to this curse, including warnings, tomb discovery records, and mud waving as well. The tomb was not stolen or looted because it was hidden in such a clever way that thieves would find it difficult to find. But there are stolen tombs, such as the discovery by Njelping, one of the chief inspectors of the Egyptian Antiquities Authority, of a tomb near the Mihdam Pyramid. The tablet was found inscribed with one of the curses. The soul of the deceased strangles the neck of a tomb thief as if it were the neck of a goose. This curse states that there is only one soul in the grave. However, two bodies were found in the tomb. One of them was mummified, the body of the tomb owner, and the other from the thief who had infiltrated the tomb, and when he reached out to take the jewelry from the mummy, it was heavy pebble fell off the roof. But I think it's all just a coincidence and not a curse. We have to realize that priests and magicians are responsible for burying and preparing the tomb of King Tutankhamun because he died young. There is no doubt that the pharaohs were making efforts to protect and secure the tombs after the death, so that they might rest in peace until life could return to the bodies again. They may have used magic, disease, or germs to protect the cemetery, but they did not use, as some imagine, the curses that haunt tomb finders.
Mr. Henry, we would like to hear your opinion and some facts about the truth or falsity of the curse of the pharaohs.
The curse of the pharaohs is the legend that was associated with the history of the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun. After the tomb's discoverers were exposed to strange and suspicious events, which claimed their lives, and some considered their death as a result of the curse of opening the tomb and disturbing the pharaoh. Nearly 100 years after Howard Carter discovered the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun in 1922, Russia reported a report from the British Daily Mail, in which facts were revealed about the death of Rose Carnarvon, who funded the task of discovering Tutankhamun's tomb. The most famous death that was it is considered the curse of the pharaohs. Lord Carnarvon died just 6 months after the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun from the bite of an infected mosquito while on the Nile. After receiving warnings from novelist Marie Corelli 2 weeks before the consequences of opening the sealed tomb of the pharaoh in a letter published in Times. The documentary report mentioned the suicide of archaeologist Hugh Evelyn White, who hanged himself in 1924, leaving a message allegedly written in his blood, which read, "I have surrendered to a curse that has forced me to disappear." In early April, Carter received information that Lord Carnarvon had become seriously ill and had a fever until he died. The strange thing is that there was a power outage in all parts of Cairo. Even the electricity company did not find a logical explanation for what happened. Lord Carnarvon's son says that at the same time as his father died in Cairo, their dog, which he loved so much, started barking sharply and then fell dead in London. Archaeologist Arthur Mays, who was part of the tomb excavation team, fell into a coma and then died. Some people did not believe what was happening, including George J. Gould, who traveled to Egypt to see the cemetery. Indeed, Carter took him to the cemetery. The next day, Gould developed a severe fever and died the same evening. Aaron Ember, an Egyptologist close to Carnarvon, died in 1926 in a fire in his home. The documentary also revealed that on the morning Carter first opened the tomb, a hawk was spotted flying over the excavation site, explained that the Egyptian workforce considered it a bad omen. As well as the radiologist Archibald Douglas, who was the first to untie the wraps around the mummy of Tutankhamun to take pictures of him. He suffered from deteriorating health and died, as well as the wife of Lord Carnarvon, who died as a result of an insect bite. All this is evidence of the existence of the curse of the pharaohs, and there are no pure coincidences.
What does this curse mean? Can a person affect the lives of others? Did the ancient Egyptians know something that affected the rhythm of other people's lives? Did they come to this thanks to their hidden beliefs or scientific knowledge? Is it just a coincidence? Or is there a law behind this coincidence that negates the nature of randomness? Waiting for your opinions and suggestions. Thank you for watching, and see you in another new episode.